very interesting. So we see two pillars as per the speech of Dr. Avramidis, awareness and compliance, awareness covering attention, perception, memory, and ways we make decisions have to do with the compliance. And this continuous training, virtual training, of course, assists. I would like to go to the next gentleman, Mr. David Tropp Hag, Vice President EMEA Sales, KVH, that I have the chance to meet him also in the past. He's going to present boosting crew morale through content and connectivity, and provide 5 recommendations. Thank you very much.
Just a second before David joins. We forgot to mention that there are no alarms planned for today. So if the alarm goes on, please evacuate the room without further delay. Also, please keep your mobile phones to silent. Those that they are going to ring, they need to pay 50 euros to the donation. Okay, thank you.
Morning, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the introduction. Thank you, Adonis, and CSN for inviting us again to present here. My presentation is about a few recommendations that we have found to be helpful when implementing connectivity and content services to help boost crew morale. I'll also give you a little bit of an update on where we are in the industry, both the industry itself and where KVH is moving in the last couple of years. I realize that the audience here is primarily made up of HR and crewing personnel, so I'll try to skip most of the technical lingo and go straight to the things that you care about. But please keep me on track if it gets too technical. As mentioned, my name is David Tropp Hag. I represent KVH Industries. We are a satellite connectivity provider. Other than satellite connectivity, we also provide crew welfare services in the shape of content, something we've done for more than 60 years, starting way back with text news to the vessels, reel-to-reel movies, VHS tapes, DVD cassettes, and now data-delivered movies and news and TV entertainment. So let's dive straight in. Let's start by painting a little bit of a picture and set the scene of where we are today. I'm sure you are much more knowledgeable on this topic than I am, but what we see from the reports that we study, and I've heard already some of them mentioned, is that the industry is facing a shortage on seafarers and qualified seafarers. And there's a lot of different trends helping or emphasizing this problem. The existing crew is aging and retiring. The young generations do not find seafaring as attractive as perhaps their parents did. And one of the things we hear that Generation C and younger seafarers want is to have the amenities and the services that they're used to at home, such as connectivity. Of course, there are things higher on the priority list: access to shore leave, stable payments, and good working relationships. But connectivity is also one of the things that is continuously mentioned as an important motivating factor. So how can we help? We were here last year, gave you an update on where we saw things, and I'd like to give you a short presentation of what has happened since then. The industry have moved forward with amazing speed. I would say that a little thing called Starlink has hit the industry like a wildfire and really done wonders for crew connectivity in the market. So right now you can actually achieve connectivity similar to what you have at home on the vessel if you implement these new LEO services. Starlink's not the only one out there. It's the first one and it's great, but there are others coming along. OneWeb was actually launched a lot before Starlink, but Starlink sort of took the inner lane and came to the market first. But OneWeb is still there, and we are expecting fully global coverage from OneWeb around the end of the year. But already now, it's providing a good alternative to Starlink. Next year, or a bit later perhaps, Mr. Jeff Bezos and Amazon will launch their Project Kuiper, something that will be very similar to Starlink, but they're promising it to be even cheaper and even faster. So that's going to be interesting to see how that turns the industry upside down once again. And what this does is it offers much faster speeds, bandwidth-wise, to the vessels, and at lower costs. So both things that we like to hear. But one thing that has become clear from the start is that when you implement these kinds of solutions, management of the bandwidth becomes incredibly important. Because when you think in the past, the vessel was perhaps typically using 100, 200 gigabytes per month. Now they get a connectivity solution that is 20 times faster, and all of a sudden, in 2 days, they've used their entire monthly budget. So management becomes very important. From our point of view, we of course embrace all these new opportunities. We have started out by becoming a reseller of the Starlink hardware. We see the need for providing these solutions as they are the best in class at the moment. Later in the year, last year, we took the full step to also resell the services of Starlink. So we are now a Starlink reseller for airtime. And this goes well with our strategy of integrating different networks to provide hybrid solutions for the vessels. Most recently, we signed an agreement with OneWeb also, now Eutelsat OneWeb, so we can offer any solution, both Starlink or OneWeb. And finally, we signed an agreement with a company called Cognitive to integrate their edge server network management tool, which we find to be the best in the industry. So we can now completely offer solutions that tick all these boxes. So this is just a nice graphic from the marketing department showing you a little bit about how these solutions are comprised. So originally we had the high satellites in the geosynchronous orbits. Then we started integrating 5G land-based networks and Wi-Fi. And most recently we have added the low Earth orbit satellites. All of this just bringing more and more connectivity to the vessel. In the future, we expect that MEO, middle Earth orbits, satellites will also come into the picture. There are already services, but I mean, from a vessel point of view, it doesn't really matter what the satellites are called or where they're placed. You want more bandwidth, you want it at a lower cost. That's the important thing. And as mentioned, our latest product introduction is the COMBOX Edge that sits at the heart of all this connectivity and manages the different carriers and networks. So just a very few words about the COMBOX Edge, because I know this is going to be the most technical part of my presentation, so I'm going to glance over it a little bit faster. Basically, this is can you hear me over here? Yeah. This is an all-in-one device that offers you just a small box that goes on board, comes with a cloud portal, comes with a phone app, allowing you to see, manage all your networks and all your connectivity solutions on board. It's a very powerful tool. It's built very intuitively. It has nice wizard flows to set up your wide area networks and your local area networks, and then make policies for how you want to handle all the traffic on board. This is what we call SD-WAN, where you actually address the different data packages to the most appropriate carrier, depending on what network it comes from, what the importance level is of this data. And you can do this very easily. You can set so many rules that I get completely happy thinking about it, because it's such a huge step forward, and it's so easy. It optimizes traffic. Many of the solutions out there are not really built for satellite communication. And when I say solutions, I mean the onboard network solutions. So you want a solution that is built for mobile use and manages to optimize these networks. Network data, control, reporting, it has it all. So that's the key. Last one is actually important, because this is a really cool feature that makes it incredibly important, or incredibly easy to provide access to any third party you would want to have access to an IP-enabled system on board. So imagine you have a torque meter somewhere on the shaft, and you want to give the manufacturer access to service it. You can actually, if this torque meter is IP connected on the vessel, you can get a link to that exact piece of equipment, send it to the manufacturer, they click the link, and they go directly to their own device. They don't have to go through your IT department. Well, they will probably make the link in the first place, but it just makes it incredibly easy, and it's done with the necessary safety administration. So you have to have two-factor authentication. You can revoke the link if you don't want him to have access anymore, and you can time the link so it only works for an hour. So it's a really, really easy and cool feature that allows you to provide access to onboard networks very easily. So that was the technical part. Now to the recommendations. How do we feel that it's the best way to go around connectivity and content? So 5 considerations. Localizing. We have always, through the 60 years, we've provided content services. It's probably more than 60 years, probably near 70. We've been saying 60 for so many years. But find the content that's relevant for your crew. I think I said last year that we've all stayed in hotels where BBC World and the local TV channels were the only ones available. When you're at sea, you still want to watch TV Patrol from the Philippines. You still want to watch Interplus from Ukraine. You don't want to watch BBC all the time. So we provide the relevant channels to the crew that they actually are used to from home. We also source movies from every country of the big crew demographics. So you can see that every month on our top 10 most viewed movies. It's the Bollywood blockbusters, it's the Filipino TV series, it's the Filipino Basketball Association. Those are really the things that people want to watch. Also the big Hollywood blockbusters, of course, they're also up there. But the Indian movies and the Filipino movies, they get a lot of views. Of course, a variety of languages. Our newspaper has 60 different edits. I think it's in 32 different languages. So a lot of them are English and a local language, or just English. But we do provide 60 different editions from with local content from different countries. Subtitles, yeah, also make it more available to everybody. Another thing that's important is making it sociable, because one thing we've heard a couple of times already is mental health. One thing that doesn't contribute well to mental health is isolation, and putting people into their own cabins with their mobile phone, doom scrolling through all their off hours doesn't really help mental health. So provide solutions that can be used in a social setting, such as movie nights, karaoke, and other things like that. That will help mental health on board. The legal side of it is also important. If you have an audit on board a vessel for MLC and they find movies that are not licensed, it's not a great situation. The typical way of having movies on board has been somebody brings a hard drive with 1,000 movies, or you go to shore in Thailand and bring a box of pirate DVDs on board. Or maybe they're even real DVDs, but the fact is that DVDs are not meant for public viewing, they're meant for domestic viewing. So the license that you need to show content on board a vessel is called a non-theatrical commercial license. And that's what we have for all our content, so it's absolutely legal to watch it in this setting. Some security concerns, it's more the IT department's problem, but we also take care of that. And when the crew doesn't have to bring big hard drives on board, it also reduces the risk of introducing malicious and infected files to the computers on board. So the connectivity side is also interesting. As I mentioned, data allocations is a very important part of it. So when you have connectivity and it's faster than ever, you really need to control it. So we provide tools that you can actually use to that. Either you can throttle the bandwidth slowly over the month as the data is being used, or you can have daily or weekly or monthly allocations per crew member so they can make their own budget. But of course, ship's connectivity and operational traffic is the most important thing. So we often recommend a hybrid solution with multiple layers of connectivity. So you have the super fast and available Starlink or OneWeb, but you also have a fallback option in terms of an old-fashioned VSAT or an Iridium or fleet broadband or 5G networks from shore. So managing all this is important, and routing the traffic to the appropriate channels is important. Hybrid, just mentioned that. But when you're doing this, we also recommend doing it in a flexible way. I mean, many service providers will try to offer you a solution that is a 5-year solution. That doesn't really work these days. The market is changing so fast. New technology is being introduced every year. So if you can have a flexible solution that will allow you to upgrade and update your systems on board when the next big thing comes out, that's really the recommendation, to have a flexible solution like that. Another thing is content delivery. It's great if you can have a solution that delivers content to the vessel without jamming up your pipe with movies. So you can have solutions that are delivering movies and TV shows and updates in the background and doesn't really eat off your bandwidth. See, my time is ticking quickly now, so I'll try to rush this last bit. Latest news from us is that we will introduce a new feature on our Link Hub system, which is a movie server on board the vessel, which has actually been very popular in Greece in the last couple of years. Even with more connectivity going to the crew, it is still important to provide something they can be together around, movies, for example. So one new thing coming is that we can now provide the updates via any satellite system, not just our own satellite system. And that helps because, unfortunately, we don't have connectivity contracts for every vessel in the world. Yeah, we can talk more about that. We have a desk over here, so please stop by if you're interested in that. So just summarizing it, keep it local to the crew. Make sure that it's something that they actually appreciate when you provide content on board. Do it in a way that fosters social interaction on board the vessel, because that will help you achieve some of the targets that you probably have of crew motivation and morale. Do it in a way that also allows them to access it in different ways. Some content perhaps on their mobile phones and others in the recreational areas. Connectivity, more and more important, and do this also in a way that minimizes your data use for unnecessary things. So it became a little bit quick in the end, I'm sorry about that. But this is the marketing spiel, and I'm sure you can all catch us over here if this is of interest to your organization. We are here, we are ready to meet every requirement you have in terms of connectivity and content. Thank you very much.